Hey, yo. What's up, everyone? You guys are wrestling fans, at least from back in the day. You know that phrase. That was Scott Hall's uh, famous line. Sad news today. Scott Hall passed away. I think he's probably, I don't think he ever won a world title belt. He's probably one of the greatest professional wrestlers not to do so. He won Intercontinental Championship in the WWF and Tag Team Championship. But I guess he had a hip surgery and then had a complications due to that. Got a blood clot and caused multiple heart attacks. And then he was on life support for a while. And then today they took him off life support. So Scott Hall, I think he got his start back in the day in the mid '80s in NWA, and then he spent some time with the AWA, Vern Gagne's organization, and he tag teamed with Kurt Hennig before Kurt Hennig went over to WWF and became Mr. Perfect. And then I think it was in the early '90s when Scott Hall went to the WWF, which is now the WWE, uh, as Razor Ramon. And so over there in WWF, he ended up becoming close friends with Scott Hall and the Heartbreak Kid and X Pac and Triple H, and they were known as the Click. And there's a lot of you can watch a bunch of videos on YouTube or listen to podcasts with either him or Scott Hall or X Pac talking about all their exploits back in the days. Back in those days, in the '80s and '90s, dudes had to drive everywhere, and it just sounded like it was crazy nonstop partying. It's a lot of crazy stories you can hear. Uh, so if you haven't heard those stories or seen those videos, I recommend checking them out. It's entertaining. If you're a wrestling fan, you're gonna really enjoy that. But sad day today for any wrestling fans. I don't watch wrestling anymore. I started watching it very early '80s, back when I was a kid. Started watching WWF, and when I started watching it, Bob Backlund was the champ, and then he ended up losing it to Iron Sheik, Iran number one, and then the Sheik baby lost to Hulk Hogan. But I kind of, once I was getting a bit older and just watching less and less of it as it went, and I don't know, I think it just WWF kind of changed a bit. But I started watching NWA because they were showing that stuff on TBS on the weekends. Fast forward a bit to mid '90s when Scott Hall and Kevin Nash jumped ship over to WCW at the time because they had families, so they had mortgages to pay and kids to feed, and they got a lot more money when they went to WCW. So when they went over there as the outsiders, that's when WCW really picked up momentum. So they, as the outsiders, and then they ended up forming the NWO, the New World Order, with Hulk Hogan. And then once they started doing that, the ratings for Monday Nitro really skyrocketed, and WCW was able to beat the WWF in the ratings. Some like 82. I don't. Yeah, some like 82 weeks in a row or something like that. So I think that to me, if you ask golden age of wrestling, you would have to either say uh, sometime in the 1980s or sometime in the 1990s, right? Because in the '80s, I guess you'd say golden age for WWF was the Hulk Hogan era from probably around mid '80s towards the late '80s, and then Back when you had the Monday Night Wars between Monday Night Raw and Monday Nitro with the Outsiders and the New World Order, because they were huge. I mean, I remember watching that stuff. So I like picked up watching wrestling again because of Monday Nitro. So when I started, I mean, I don't really remember the details, but I remember watching it again, and the NWO was already a big time thing by the time I started watching it again. And probably watched it for on Monday nights for a while, but then stopped watching it, and I guess at some point WWE ended up buying out WCW. So I heard a lot of stuff about it was crazy times over at WCW, and the money was just flowing everywhere, and I guess it got bought out by WWF, and old Mr. McMahon there. You know, you cross him once and think you're gonna pay for it down the road, because I know most of the WCW talent at that time, they didn't have much of a run once they merged them into the old WWE over there. But it's cool now because you go on Peacock TV and just subscribe there, and they got I guess WWE TV used to be a thing, but now everything that was on there is now available on Peacock. So I subscribe to Peacock, and I've been watching a bunch of the older stuff. They got like every WWF, every WCW. They even got regional stuff from back in the 80s and back in the day when it was the territories. So, WWE's bought out pretty much everything. I'm not up on the wrestling now. I think, wrestling's gone the way of so many other things, stuff that used to be, uh, I'm an old man, I guess, oh, back in my day, because to me, shit in the wrestling back in the 80s and 90s was awesome. And then now this stuff is all crap, which, I don't really know that to be the case, but it's hard for me to turn it on. I don't know who any of these people are. It's like turning on a Dodgers game or a Lakers game. I don't care about any of those dudes. I don't know any of them. And I don't watch any baseball or basketball because it just the quality of the game has gone down in my eyes. And then when they all went woke, I was like, final straw. But yeah, so on Peacock right now, I'm watching. Basically, you can watch everything chronological order. So I've been watching stuff, started watching stuff uh, on YouTube, a bunch of stuff from the 80s, and then I saw Peacock was available. So I went there and subscribed there to watch everything from the 90s. So right now I'm like around mid 1996. So this is right when the NWO is just getting started and stuff. So I could go there and watch all that. And if you're a wrestling fan and you haven't seen all the NWO stuff, I recommend going on to Peacock. You can watch all the WCW stuff from back in the day. So, anyways, just wanted to do videos of different content than what I usually do, but I used to be a big wrestling fan, and today's a sad day for anyone that was a old school wrestling fan with the passing of the great Scott Hall. All right, everyone. I'll see you on the next one.